I'm the founder of 23 different radical leftist organizations.
And I will say here boldly now on television, no.
Intuitively, there is a fear of the spiritual, the cultural, and the political power.
They do not tell us that we should unite.
Including the Africans fighting racism and oppression, or Afro, if you will.
And this is why I named the book Negroes with Guns. Because it meant they got guns the same as everybody else, they'd be treated the same way.
Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
Most black people in this country are workers in the working class. 97% of us are workers.
The Black Revolutionary Organization, or BRO. And also the Black Revolutionary Underground Heroes. Yeah, bruh.
I was gonna say, did you want to start?
Oh, my screen's just taking a minute. But yeah, we are back. Since we are back after a long hiatus, what's going on, y'all? This is Reasoning. I am the associate editor of Iansá magazine, Donovan Hill Bush. With me is the editor-in-chief, Maryam Muhammad. How are you doing today?
Yeah. So we've been gone for some time, as you can see. Our last stream was late April, I think. Late April. We were trying to do a fundraiser. So. Yeah, we didn't make much money, but we're still back at it, you know. Like, just capitalism isn't gonna stop us. Like, we were already an anti-capitalist magazine, so
right.
It's crazy. I thought we were streaming to Instagram too. It's like, because we would stream to Twitter, and then we should just stream to Twitter. I should. But anyway, I wanted to open up with a poem about how I've been feeling. For those of you who don't know, I am a poet. I actually I published a book 5 years ago, and it wasn't that good. However, I'm going to do a poem, and then we're going to get into a little bit more of Iansá's situation. But let me go to this poem. It's called She Wept. And I wrote it about, let me look at this date. I wrote it about like 2.5 years ago. And it's a poem. I wrote a lot of things after my uncle Donovan died. It's interesting because my uncle's name was also Donovan. Yeah, that's a bit.
I remember you told me this when you first interviewed me for Iansá.
Right, and it was weird. It's like a weird coincidence.
Yeah, but no, man. Hey, get a Donovan in your life, y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And if you lose one, get another one.
Yeah. Keep them.
Yeah, and it's a poem about grief and loss. And between when I started this magazine in April of 2025 and now, a lot has changed. And but yeah, let me start on this. This is from 2023. I mourned my entire life, all at 2 a.m. early on a Sunday morning. I mourned my father's guitar that he no longer played. I mourned the reggae songs that I used to hear him sing around the house. I mourned pictures of my mother from when she vacationed at Martha's Vineyard at my age. I mourned her hometown of Jamaica, Queens, though it remains out of my reach. Then I mourned my old religion. I cried over the fez worn on the messenger's head that I would never get to see in person. I cried over missed workshops at Savior's Day and the Holy Day of Atonement alike. I cried over missed Juma prayers. I mourned the MGT uniforms that hadn't seen or felt my skin in what felt like centuries. I mourned the words of scriptures that my eyes had never even came across because I had been too lazy to finish the book. I mourned Christ, Muhammad, and Buddha all in one night. And then I mourned my politics. I mourned nations that I haven't even visited. I mourned lands and places far away and long forgotten in spite of them not existing. I mourned treaties, truces, and constitutions unwritten, Hell, I think I might have even mourned the state on accident. And then I mourned myself. I mourned the dreadlocks that hadn't been attached to my head in about 4 years. I mourned clothes that I had grown out of and jewelry that seemed to somewhat disappear. I mourned missed text messages and phone calls because my phone stayed on Do Not Disturb. I mourned acne scars that faded away with precious time. I mourned every sunset that I had missed because I refused to leave my bedroom. I mourned days where I gave too much of myself to the world and left very little for me. I mourn the days where I was once referred to as muse, as bug, as baby girl, as dear, as beloved, as gift, as God. I think you get the point. I mourn the words that hadn't escaped my mouth for years because I was too afraid to put them in poems like this. And then I mourned you. I mourned the fact that we could never truly understand each other unless we swapped bodies and came to terms with experiences. That was 3 years ago. Everyone give snaps.
I can only snap with one hand. I'm sorry.
And then today, I mourn and I celebrate Assata Shakur.
Happy
late birthday.
To Mama Assata Shakur.
But
My
yeah.
God. I'm thinking I think I've talked to you about this story beforehand. I'm not sure if I talked about it on the podcast, but the night I found out about her passing, I wasn't even sure if it was a real post because about maybe 2 or 3 people were like actually reporting that she had passed. So it was like maybe close to midnight, and I had realized that I left my charger back in the room where I would coach at. So I biked back to to campus. Parked my bike. I go up to the room. My students are there working on there. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like midnight. They're like, we're working on speeches. What are you doing? I'm like, I left my charger here. So we go in. I grab it. My phone goes from 1 to like 3%. So I check Instagram, and I see the first post I see is like Assata Shakur, like Black Freedom Fighter Assata Shakur just passed away, and I'm like shook. I'm like outwardly reacting. I should feel weird reacting the way I did, but I didn't, because I'm like, this is someone that means so much to people who have developed a certain level of consciousness. People who, whether you've read the book, you've watched her interviews, you've heard stories of Assata and the Black Liberation Army. You like heard that, I again wasn't sure if this is true because it was the only few posts that were like people that were actually talking about it. So I came back from campus, I went to sleep. I actually got a text from Pillboy, shout out to Pillboy, about, did you hear the news? I'm like, wait, is it true? And he said, yeah, the Cuban the embassy or international something like that just posted it not too long ago. She passed away. Not too long after, I'm seeing one battle after another, and the whole Tiana Taylor performance, the Perfidia stuff, and I come out that theater. I'm wearing my Assata Shakur shirt. I'm coming out that theater pissed. I'm just like that. I'm like that she passes away. The movie's released to theaters, and that's how Hollywood's going to try to cultivate this image of this black freedom fighter, and say that she's a complex character. Yeah, but I know for a fact that Assata wasn't betraying any of her comrades or any of her family members, nor were they trying to out her, and when she went to exile. So it just bless me a lot.
Mm-hmm. Bless you.
Man.
Getting sneezes.
Man, gotta get the negative energy out. But a lot of just it wasn't a fun night having to come back from that theater and have her on my mind the entire time. But no.
And it's important to talk about struggle, because struggle is essentially what we really want to talk about. Why we haven't been around streaming for a minute. And I'm not gonna lie, guys. So there were a few things going on in my life personally, and one thing is I lost a lot of confidence in doing these streams because, and I won't get too deep into detail, it's very hard to run a show like The Reasoning where every time we say goodbye and we get off the air, there's someone there to tell me how poorly I did on this show and how poorly we did running the show. You know, I have anxiety sometimes and I don't know what to say. Donovan has autism, so sometimes like we're trying to do things and we get in little tangents and things happen, but we're also still new at this. This is a new publication. We're still growing, and you know, he's in grad school, and then I've been dealing with trying to organize full time, but also being laid off months ago and having not recovered. As you can see, I'm not in the usual place where we've had a lot of these streams because a lot of finances, I've had to downgrade the magazine. A lot of stuff has been happening. I was told not to talk about too much of my personal life. I was in somewhat of a not great, very toxic relationship. And also I want to shout out to some of my friend Medicine, my friend Rakeem Shabazz, Donovan, of course, a lot of the magazine, because people in my personal life have known more about what I've been going through, and then to still have to try to pit this magazine has been quite a bit. And, you know, like, I wouldn't have, and you know what, I'll say, I wouldn't have been able to do none of this shit without Donovan. I wouldn't be able to do none of this shit without Donovan. Like, that's my ride or die. Like, he's on the right side on my camera. I was gonna say, like, I ain't gotta hit it to the left of me, but I ain't gotta hit it to the right of me.
Yeah. I appreciate it. You already know I'm like a call away. We've already had chats about this sort of stuff, and then obviously too, you like pushed me to be better, to be a better organizer, to be more informed, to be more in tune with like what's happening on the ground, and kind of like and has definitely helped me like take the celebrity of it all away too. A lot of times we try to uphold certain people and uphold certain movements, and like even like some individuals to certain heights to where they're beyond criticism. And she's always been somebody who is like kind of just reminded me like the humanness of it all, of just like, hey, like even if you do admire this person, you admire what they contributed, at the end of the day, like they're still human, they're still making mistakes, and we just need to take that sort of accountability as folks who are trying to fight for liberation. So I genuinely appreciate you allowing me to be a part of this platform, being able to work with some really amazing people, to allow me to grow, to allow me to better like communicate these ideas, and to encourage me to like even just start creating and helping create certain stuff, because that's a big step for me. I really appreciate that, and I'm glad I get to call you my bestie too. So.
And running this isn't easy, like because like I wish we were able, like, which is why we're still trying to get this thing off the ground. I wish sometimes we had like a full, we have everyone right now who's with Iansá, there is no payment. They just believe in the team. And we're trying to right now get it to a point where we do want to financially help our comrades who help run this magazine. So if you see this right up here, this little Cash App symbol, if you want to hit our Cash App, you know, it's totally like, you know, it's totally up to you. But also we know right now, we're going to get into that, like the world is crazy and the economy is shit.
Yeah. For like context too, is like, while I'm writing my thesis, like my contract ended with the university. So I'm like, I've been applying to numerous jobs. I almost got a job for this week, but I didn't have enough experience. And so I made it to like the last round of interviews, but they basically were like, because of that, we just can't hire you. So I'm like just looking everywhere at this point. I'm also have to keep in mind too, for some jobs, I'm going to be overqualified now, even with the thesis still like being finished. The fact that like I can put in like, oh, I just did a master's for this amount of time, they're going to be like, oh yeah, I mean, you might be a great fit, but you're just a little overqualified for us. So that's the thing. And that's the thing that kind of upsets me, is like, even like, cause like we talked about before the stream, even if like you you're like encouraged, especially if you've like performed really well in undergrad, to go into grad school. Because like, yeah, you can get better jobs, you get more opportunities, get your name out there. If you want to, you can go even further, get a PhD, go to law school and med school, or so on and so forth. And then like you're in a capitalist settler colony where it incentivizes poverty. It incentivizes people to be unemployed. So it needs to have a class of folks who cannot have access to jobs, and disproportionately that's Black and brown folks, but especially Black folks and Africans, new Africans who fall into that. And so you go in, you get the degree, you get another degree, expecting you get some sort of security, and then you don't get any security. You know, it's just the opportunity isn't there. You might be overqualified for something. You might not have the right connections. You might not have it's just like, oh, congratulations on like putting more time into this imperialist institution of academia to get another degree. You're not guaranteed a job now. Good luck, I guess. So like, no, adulting, and then turning 25 too is like, oh, I was obviously the pressure of just like, oh, I need to have my shit together now. I'm 25.
Yeah, because you only got one more year on your mom's life insurance and health insurance.
Yeah. She's and then even the bonus part too. I think was what I see like some time ago was like what, about close to 80% of all autistic people are unemployed too.
That's not good.
I like, that's scary. That's like frightening to me too. Just like knowing how different companies and different institutions will react if you have a disability, because if you do disclose it, then that means that they're gonna worry that they're gonna have to put extra money to just accommodate to you. Whether it's a physical disability, you need to have like a ramp or some accessible doorway or something like that. That costs extra money. If you're neurodivergent and you need certain accommodations to make sure that you can function on the job or function in the workplace, that's going to cost money. They don't want to have to pay that money. They're not going to want to have to pay that money, but they do love the image of having a disabled person overcome this stuff, though.
Right.
Like, if you're physically disabled, you just got to find a way to just make it off those steps. Or if you're autistic, ADHD, or neurodivergent, if you can just mask long enough and just perform really well, just do this hyper focus on this labor that these companies and these institutions need, then it's all good. Then it's all good, baby. You can work. We can pay you. We might give you a raise because you're just so good. You're just so uniquely gifted at this minuscule task that we just have to. And you just show that you can do so much. Like, we don't have to accommodate for you because we don't think you even need that anymore. You've grown past it. Don't you just love society? Don't you just love it?
Right. And that's the thing. Like, and then, I've been looking up, and this is another thing with the algorithms on social media. It's easy to get yourself now in an echo chamber because, I like a few tweets about, unemployment for the people under the age of 30. And next thing you know, I have more anxiety because I'm seeing all of these tweets about no one can find a job. The boomers ruined everything. The economy is destroyed. And I'm like sitting there applying to stuff and I'm like, golly.
Yeah.
And then another thing too is, me and Doniven are active organizers. And I think another part of that's really with Trump putting out that ordinance last year and a lot of things we're a part of, the African People's Socialist Party and the Black Alliance for Peace and Malcolm X Grassroots Movement and organizations
even
like
the recent thing, I think in Georgia, where in Georgia where they convicted the activists or something along those lines. It'll be a completely different state. I can double check. Or if anybody could put in the chat just like which state it was where I think those organizers were found guilty.
Yeah.
It was like with the zines, like someone was guilty just for like selling zines or something like that.
Right, 30. And this is so crazy. They gave that person up to 30 years for zines.
That's what I saw too. I'm like 30 years for
that's
zines.
so stupid. And it's crazy because Iansá, mind you, the zine we put out, Frankincense and Myrrh, and it's still available on our website. That zine, for example, like, that's nothing necessarily radical. I put that together, and it was about scent and incense. But mind you, that's the first of many zines. So who's to say we wouldn't put out a zine and have things in it featuring Mumia or Asada Shakur or Safia Bakari or people of this nature? And the fact that, like, zines have always been kind of radical in a way that, like, the average magazine, because the average magazine is kind of like appeals to more like maybe an Essence or something like that's more or Jet or some of these places, the New Yorker, appeals to more of a bourgeois kind of attitude. They're not necessarily
or like a cultural nationalism too.
Right, like no one is necessarily doing radical, anti-capitalist, anti-colonialist, possibly anarchist politics on some of these zines. But zines are very interesting because as a person who's always been into magazines, which is why I started one, zines have always been appealing in the sense that, like, different groups, you look up different groups over time, whether it's a black nationalist organization, black feminist organizations, anarchists, whatever may have you, zines have been are a very unique culture. And it's a lot of ways for people to get information that they otherwise might not get. Like, they have these thick theory books you can obviously read. But sometimes, people have, like, more digestible information. They want to put it in, like, a few pages. So 30 years is freaking insane to give someone just for distributing zines. Like, that's actually crazy.
Yeah, and it sets a precedent, too. Like, if you, like, zine... Like, the zine should definitely concern you in the same realm of, like, the book bans should concern you. Because I was just saying, like, the books that are being banned, in comparison to some of the stuff that you or I or any organizer might read, is pretty tame. It's like the 1619 Project, it's 1984, Fahrenheit 451. There's a few books on, like, black transness and so on and so forth that focus primarily on just, like, the identity of being either black, queer, trans, disabled, right, feminist, and so on and so forth. Nothing too material, nothing too structural, but just like an introduction for kids. Like, I think a book may have gotten banned about, like, black girls having their natural hair or something like that. But, like, it's not like they're banning Wretched of the Earth or something like, or like, but like with the zine ban, that can lead to a ban of this book. Who's to say that, like, right, just like, oh, someone got arrested, they had Wretched of the Earth, they had Asada, they had Meet Me in the Whirlwind, or The Blood in My Eye, they have Bell Hooks. Who's to say that now those books won't get banned, or like any sort of black anarchist text or something from Claudia Jones or Harry Haywood? They're like, oh, they have these black communists. We got to ban these books from libraries. We got to ban them from circulation. Like, if we arrest somebody and they're caught with these books, we should be able to prosecute them as, like, domestic terrorists. Like,
what's interesting, like, too.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was done.
Oh no, I was gonna say what's interesting too is, like, mind you, like you said, they're not banning Wretches of the Earths right now, but of course zines are a great gateway to, someone could do a George Jackson or Soledad Brothers zine, and next thing you know, now you do know who George Jackson is, and now you do find out who Jonathan Jackson is. Like, zines are like, how people call weed a gateway drug. Zines are like a gateway to theory and more accessible information. Yeah.
Yes.
Did you want to go over? I know we talked about going over a few things. We wanted to start, I think, with some of the, and then I can pull up the article. Did you want to talk about the Gaza situation with Trump and, like, the peace talks?
Oh, the ICC. Yeah, you can pull up the article there.
All right, let me pull it up now.
But for context, a few days ago, for those who don't know, it was announced that Marco Rubio and the current empiric regime is seeking to dismantle its international criminal courts.
Crazy.
This is also coming immediately after Marco Rubio. I think what he announced, they're basically, like, quite literally occupying Venezuela at this point. Maduro still in jail, by the way. Him and his wife are still incarcerated. They talked about, as it says in the article, I'll let you know to keep scrolling. The Gaza recovery plan being pursued by Donald Trump's Board of Peace has shrunk dramatically. You can stop pause right there. So even the envisioned pilot scheme involving a temporary camp for a tiny fraction of Gaza's 2 million displaced people camp strictly with the Palestinian administration, police, and a small international security force. It's not expected to take shape before the end of the year. So.
And this shit is crazy. Look at this New Gaza.
New Gaza. It's like, and it's like a. I don't want to say it's solar punk because this is not solar punk. It's not going to be solar punk. It's more than likely going to be using this, and it's going to look like it's a dystopia. Quite literally, it's more than just a dystopia. It's a settler occupied. It's literally a genocide perpetuated by settler occupiers in Israel, and then backed by the United States as well. And so, like, this little idea of like a Palestinian admin of just a police and a small international security force for these 2 million displaced people in Gaza, like, well, what that sounds to me is similar to how Black people live in a domestic colony. They're trying to create these micro colonies in this occupied space where you might even have a Palestinian in charge, might have a Palestinian leader, might have somebody who looks like the people you are actively occupying run shit. Yeah, they're trying to neo-colonize after the continued genocide, which, mind you, I'm about to sneeze again. Mind you, has been going on for over 70 years. You can stop me. As it says earlier in the article, incremental steps have been announced in recent weeks. A few Moroccan and Kosovar officials have arrived in Israel, where they are intended to be the colonel of an international stabilization force tasked with protecting the pilot camp. A logical base for this future force to store vehicles, equipment, and other material is nearing completion at the Kerem Shalom crossing between Israel and Gaza. However, preparatory work on the pilot camp near the southern city of Rafah has not begun, nor has construction of the camp's ISF support base. And mind you, they're more than likely just going to destroy it so they can rebuild the spot there. They're saying that it's not incomplete because they're planning to destroy indigenous land so that they have the room to complete it, and all the people are being pushed to the side so they can actually complete the motherfucking thing.
Not to cut you off, Donovan, but the thing that got me, and I don't know if you guys know this, when I learned that Palestinian people currently still have to pay rent, I was fucking shell shocked. Like, out of all of that, a lot of them are still paying like rent to live, like, basically nowhere.
Like, there's something, and it like reminds me of like when I first heard like calls to just like oh, we need to abolish rent. When you hear something like that, it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. What do you mean that you're actively dealing with a genocide in your occupied land, and motherfuckers still want to be like, oh, you still have to pay so and so amount of money by the end of the month? You know what I'm saying? Crazy. Mind you, same shit happening here in the United States and North America, not just in the United States, all across Turtle Island, whether it's Black folks, whether it's the indigenous folks. We're dealing with our own genocides, our own displacements, our own domestic colonies, and at the same time, it'll even be Black and indigenous folks who are the landlords be like, oh, you still got to pay about $1,500, $2,000 by the end of the month. You know what I'm saying? I like, you got to make sure you pay me so that you can find a place to live. Oh, you got to pay utilities as well so that you can like drink clean water, or as clean of water as we can possibly allow to you. Mind you, we're running out of water in real time. We're literally running out of water, drinkable water in real time. In some places it's extremely difficult to access it. Like much of the Black Belt South, which is where quite literally is where New Africa is located. Many of these locations are quite literally dealing with a severe shortage, a drought of accessible drinking water. So when you have Harry Haywood talk about, hey, if you want to understand how the U.S. empire runs, Like, you need to look at the Black Belt South. You need to look at where the Republic of New Africa is located. That's why it's so important to have those territories there, because that is at the heart of the U.S. empiric machine. That's what's the heart of the plantation, which is the root of U.S. capitalism. You want to understand U.S. capitalism, you need to understand the plantation and the dehumanization of Black New African people. But anyway, yeah, if you had anything to say,
It's all interconnected.
Yeah, it's all interconnected. History's telling us all interconnected, but history also tells us that all empires fall. This is we've already approached 250 years, so it's only a matter of time. But back to the article, as it explains, the Guardian article. However, preparatory or pilot camp. Satellite images, areas show disturbed Earth, but no new structures. That's disturbed. Yep, it was. Substantial progress is not expected before Israel holds the elections on the 27th of October, which could bring down Benjamin Netanyahu's far-right coalition government. And that doesn't. And even if the far right coalition, and I don't like that they framed it that way. The Guardian is trying to
because Israel in and of itself is all far right. Like
it's fascist from jump. It's fascist from jump.
Right.
You could have the most liberal. You could have a Palestinian as the head of Israel. That's neo-colonialism.
It will still be Israel.
That's like having a Palestinian be the head of Israel is literally having an African run the United States.
Look at my face.
Right.
That's right. Because you know what? The Uhuru movement tried to warn you in 2008. Ooh, Obama. Oh, really?
Dude, Glenn Ford tried to warn you motherfuckers, and y'all were booing him. Y'all booed him in the debates. He said he called Barack Obama for being an imperialist, for being no different than Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, fucking the Reagans, all the Bushes, all of them motherfuckers. And people like I remember Dr. Ball played on Mixed World. Like he played the actual debate footage, like the clip, like the sound. It was the audio, not the actual like footage. But like all you're hearing Glenn Ford state his case, and you got black folks just mad. They are booing him. They're like, that's bullshit. They getting angry at this man for just being honest. Like, rest in peace to the late Glenn Ford. He was an amazing example of the journalistic integrity, especially at a time when even the most culturally nationalist and Afrocentric black people were still rooting for an Obama presidency in 2000. Like to be a black revolutionary in the early 2000s. Like I know like millennials are killing capitalism had like the imperial like 80s. We might have to do something on like the imperial 2000s.
Right.
You do something like the US taking over for the 99 and 2000s because that's what they did.
And then the thing about it is, because these different groups were trying to warn us that the shit was going to be just as bad as any white or European descendant president, people like to do this like, oh, y'all don't want to see any real progress get made, and y'all don't want to see black people win. I'm telling you this shit because I want to see black people win, that he wasn't going to do nothing except the same shit Bush did, but quieter. Like...
Right? Like if representation by itself was enough,
we would have been
for black folks we would be free right now. Iansá would have $100,000 in the account right now. Says we'd be traveling and flying everywhere. If having black faces in high places was enough for us to be free, the Civil Rights Act would not be a debate. The 13th, 14th Amendments, which for New Africans doesn't apply to them because they don't identify with the United States. But these amendments, they wouldn't be up for debate. The Confederacy, that would be the status quo. Indigenous folks would still have land. They would still have full access to their land in what's considered the United States, what's considered Canada as well. All of Central America would not have to be dealing with literal occupations.
Right.
in U.S. imperialism, whether it's Venezuela, whether it's Cuba, whether it's Mexico, whether it's the Caribbean, or even South America. Like Argentina might not even be wouldn't be like a fascist home. Would be a home. And if you don't believe that Argentina has been on some fascist shit, you need to look up the Whitening Project. I can't think of the name. You need to look up the whitening across South America. And if you need just look up an article on how these Argentinian fans are acting in the World Cup. You should be boycotting the World Cup. You can definitely look at an article. Shout out to the BAP. It's the BAP's campaign of boycotting the games. But if you need to know how crazy these Argentinian folks are talking about black folks and indigenous folks, just a quick article about these Argentinian fans should do the trick, or just listen to Ajamu. Have Ajamu Baraka break it down for you, or Jackie Lukman break it down for you, like she does today, or she does on Wednesdays with the Remix Morning Show. Shout out to our comrades there. But yeah, as the article also speaking of bullshit, Israel has routinely violated the Trump brokered ceasefire since it was declared last October, blocked any reconstruction work, and severely limited flows of humanitarian aid into Gaza. Western diplomats in Jerusalem believe the best hope of progress in Gaza is a new Israeli government. Losing the plot. They're not even saying two-state anymore at this point. It's just we just need to have a liberal colonizer. And if we got the Bill Clinton of Israelis,
right?
The Joe Biden of Israelis, still committing the genocide, but at least he's not. Right, he's a lot quieter about it. If we just had a quieter imperialist, a quieter colonizer, just take over Israel, then the Palestinians won't have to deal with the genocide anymore. They can live in New Gaza. You know how there's like New England? Now we can have
and then mind
Gaza.
you, England, the original England wasn't that great.
They was shitting in the streets.
And then another thing too is, I've been looking at a lot of different perspectives on Ben Gvir, and I didn't know that Ben Gvir originally, when he wanted to work with the Israeli government back in the day, they thought he was too extreme to be affiliated with the Israeli government, Ben Gvir. And now I can see why. And like, mind you, they were like, whoa, like, we understand we want to genocide Palestinians, but we don't want to do it like this extreme. And now that he's there with Netanyahu, and the thing is, though, like, the thing is, like, people really try to put all this shit on Netanyahu, and mind you, he is the face of a lot of the stuff, but, Israel, this stuff has been going on since the 1940s. Like, they were never supposed to be there. They were never supposed to be in Gaza at all. So, like, I really don't care for people trying to pretend like getting rid of Netanyahu's a solution. The state of Israel should not exist, period. Like, y'all
I
was
also
never
don't
supposed
like
to
that
be
people. I also like people like, they try to make it like if it's not Israel, it's just Israel and the United States. No, you need to talk about the British too, because if it wasn't for the British wanting to move away their Jewish population to an already populated piece of land, populated territory, mind you. You can find old, like, geography books. You can find old books from like the early 1900s, and you will find a whole text where if you look into this part of West Asia, of Swana, it says Palestine. It literally will say Palestine. It wasn't until the 40s where you will find this change of like Israel, or like Israel and Palestine / Palestine. Or like occupied Palestine, which makes sense because Palestine is occupied. It's a settler colony. Israel is the settler colony. Excuse me. One diplomat argued that in Jerusalem that the BOP had no choice but to make the very limited progress, as an admission of failure would open way for extreme factions in the Israeli government with radically different plans for Gaza. like that isn't already happening. Like that isn't
Right.
already happening. An admission of failure. So it's like that. So it's like they know this isn't enough. You know that the treaties, that the UN recognizing it as a genocide, that these professors and these government officials acknowledging it as a genocide or acknowledging the death of the Palestinians. Mind you, they will still deter focus away from the Palestinians on
Right.
mainstream news coverage. They'll talk about the deaths of Israel. They'll talk about the deaths of Israelis. They'll have all these conversations, but the Palestinians and the indigenous Palestinians will never be the center of the conversation, and that's the point. They want to frame it. They want to frame it in a way to where you still have in Israel, or you can still indoctrinate people with the concept that Israel has a right to exist and has existed beyond its over 70-year time span. Israel's young. Israel's
Yeah.
young compared to so many. It's younger than the
My
United States.
grandmother
Far
is
younger
older
than
than
the
my
United
grandmother's older than Israel.
I have had grandparents who have lived longer than Israel has been around. They know
Yep.
a time before Israel even existed. I have relatives that are older than Israel is. Dude,
But this
I don't
map
know.
is crazy. Like, look at this
No,
map. Like, look how much they've occupied.
no, it's like Israel. Wait, go back up. It says Israeli military since when? A presence since
October
October 10th,
2025.
2025 agreement. Area where
Mm.
Israel urges coordination for humanitarian movement. It's just this little strip. This little strip
And
of land for
what gets me
humanitarian.
is they never obey any ceasefire. So I don't know why people keep trying to act like these ceasefires are doing anything. They violate every ceasefire every time there is one.
And people don't. And the crazy thing is, people don't change. They will violate a ceasefire every other time. Every other time. They will violate any agreement. They already violated agreements with Iran. What makes you think they're gonna? If they were going to continue to violate ceasefires in Gaza like they've been for decades now, what makes you think that they were going to follow any sort of agreement with Iran?
Right.
So,
Scroll.
there's a likely site for the pilot camp right on the strip, logistics support, the support area, and then we can switch articles after this last
Okay,
paragraph.
because I just thought
So
of something I wanted to cover after this.
yeah, yeah. It says Israel has carried out frequent strikes on Gaza, killing more than 1,100 Palestinians since the October ceasefire. And Israeli forces have repeatedly moved forward from the ceasefire line agreed in October, which split the strip roughly evenly between Israeli and Hamas-controlled sections. The Israeli army now directly occupies more than 60% of the territory and has created a buffer zone. Beyond that, a return to what it said, the full-scale war would probably sweep away even the BOP's modest pilot plan.
Wow.
The problem with the analysis, the war has never stopped. It's always been full scale for the Palestinians. They're trying to explain like it's full scale in regards to the West. The West trying to prevent a full scale war. Meanwhile, for the Palestinians, you've erased entire generations.
Exactly. Of literal babies.
Children. And they're justifying it by saying that like, oh, the children were with Hamas. Or these people are with Hamas.
And even if they are, you're making more Hamas every time.
Exactly.
Like if you killed my mom, my dad, and all of my I don't have siblings, but all my cousins, and if I had siblings, I would join Hamas too.
Right. It's only logical that you would join a resistance group.
Because they don't have a military.
And I want to say Hamas like Hamas literally like stepped back recently to try to curtail some bombardments. They're trying to like move back so that they could have some semblance of quiet. I'm not gonna say peace, but quiet. Still bombing. They're taking full advantage of that. So now for the I'm not even gonna say anti-Hamas crowd because it's more than just anti-Hamas. It's anti-resistance. It's anti-righteous violence. So for the anti-violence crowd or the non-violence crowd, which by the way, to paraphrase Two Black, shout out to Comrade Two Black, sacrificial violence is still violence at the end of the day. Right. To that crowd, I would just say like, what now? They step back, and you're still gonna bomb people. They're still gonna bomb Palestinians. So what should they do then? What should they do at this point? Yes. What is it? As long as Israel doesn't commit to a gradual withdrawal from the Gaza Strip, the Strip, and the changing the reality there's no basis for talks of Palestinian. As long as Israel doesn't commit to a gradual withdrawal from the Gaza Strip and to changing the reality there's no basis for talks.
Man, this is just like, and then people really will tell you that like, and then even with this, people are acting like because we have Trump in office, like that the Democrats wouldn't have something similar done. Mind you, October 7th was Biden president when October 7th happened? Yes. Biden was president. So people pretending like also like this isn't a bipartisan thing that both parties are gradually carrying out is just bullshit. Like, right, both the Democrats and Republicans do not care about Gaza at all.
Which just makes it even more tragic. Even so, like you see videos of Democratic candidates, like the lady in Colorado. She was like the incumbent, the incumbent, the white lady, where she was like pressed. She's like, can you admit that there's a genocide in Palestine? There's a genocide of Palestinians. Not even a ceasefire. Not a ceasefire. We're beyond that. We've been beyond that. But there's a genocide. She can't even say there's a genocide. And look what happened. She lost her seat. Not saying that electoralism is what leads to liberation, but I think it's pretty showing that the establishment party and the establishment Democrats on one hand can't even admit that there's a genocide because they're so intrinsic on keeping a settler colony going, to the point where you'll have the Guardian, which is supposedly this more left-leaning source, advocate for more liberal Israelis and set up a decolonization of the settler colony that's been occupying the Palestinians for over 75 years. But I don't want to we don't have to spend too much time on the article. I think we kind of covered it. I know you had something that you really wanted to cover.
Yeah. Anyway, before we start, I'll just say a liberal colonizer or a conservative colonizer is still a colonizer. That's just the point. But and Donovan, I want to hear your thoughts on this because I just thought of it because I heard the news. So let me share the other article. This is really interesting because I'm not gonna lie, Al Sharpton gotta pack it up. Oh,
this is about Al Sharpton?
Yes, the King family and civil rights orgs announced March on Washington for voting rights. Bro, we need another black people.
Whoa. We trying to run back the I forget what show it was where they were like, we brought the gang back. Oh, that's let me Sis, we brought the gang back together and shit. Okay, Reverend Al Sharpton.
This is crazy.
Martin Luther King. Yeah, the third. Here. Oh, announcement. What are the civil rights orgs? I'm guessing it's the NAACP. I'm guessing that's one. They're also having AXO too. For context, I'm an AXO alum. I did AXO 1 year, Like it's like the Black Excellence competition. So that popped up in mind when I brought up NAACP, but that's happening. Zoran Mamdani is Mamdani supposed to be there?
I mean, his middle name is Kwame. That's like probably Black enough for them.
Not Nkrumah. Not Touré.
But this is just like Black people need
not
like
even,
their
not
own.
even Brown.
Right. And the thing is, like, I understand that people think that like this, it's just, and you know, like here's the thing, like me and Donovan, we're communist, socialist, whatever have you, and we're a part of organizations that are like, you know, actively talking about we need to do something else. But my thing is, to the average Black person who might not be like a communist, or they might be considered as a liberal, do you really want to keep doing this shit? Like, sincerely? As long as we march and as long as we get a Democrat in, it is exhausting. Like, come on. Yeah. Like, come on. We're gonna keep doing this.
I'm thinking about.
We're gonna keep working this. Yeah, there's a delay.
Yeah, I'm thinking about reading Malcolm X's autobiography, and I'm thinking about I forget which chapter it was on, but he talked about how the original march on Washington was being a lot more confrontational than it was. However, like, was it Kennedy who was president at the time? He like talked to Dr. King and some civil rights organizations, the civil rights organizations, to be a part of this march, and it defames the entire goal of the. They're supposed to confront the U.S. government with this march, but instead they had Dr. King and all of these like. Dr. King at the time being more associated with the black bourgeois politics, many these black bourgeoisie center orgs, many black leadership class folks at the time. Yeah, just maneuver them away.
I think they had what was called the Big Five.
I think, was it the NAACP, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, was SNCC?
Yeah.
SNCC, CORE.
I gotta look that up.
CORE. It could be, or it's the Urban League. Urban League. That's my guess.
Right.
That's my. Oh, what was it? Was that it?
Okay. Yeah. That is. You were right.
Oh,
yeah, it was the NAACP, the National Urban League, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and SNCC and CORE. You are correct.
Boom! Let's go. How did I know? It's almost like I read a couple.
Damn, he read. See, we really got analysis going on. You see how I had to look it up, and he ran that shit off like hotcakes. Yes.
I'm only thinking of this too, also because I recently finished Black Awakening Capitalist America, and those were the orgs that it talked about, and it talked about how many of these black, even when these orgs had like a black nationalist lens, how the black bourgeoisie, how this black misleadership class understands and enforces black nationalism is for different reasons than a black proletariat or a lumpen proletariat might adopt it. Right. Because whenever the black bourgeoisie, and keep this in mind, whenever you see the black celebrity class, the black misleadership class, the petite bourgeoisie incorporate more black radical messages like they did in 2020, it's never in an effort to dismantle the system entirely. Right. It is always a reaction. A reform. It's a reaction to them not being able to access the opportunities that these institutions were supposed to provide them with. It's never an organized effort. It's a reaction. It's always a reaction to the system denying them what they believe they deserve, that they weren't intended to give them to begin with. That's so whenever you see, so keep this in mind, when you see the next outbreak of black rebellion and you see these black bourgeois misleadership folks start to incorporate these black radical messages, you start to hear, pretty soon we're going to be hearing these black misleadership class leaders, this misleadership, talk about a black radical tradition. They're gonna start talking about the black radical tradition as if they've always been a part of it, like they weren't actively spending their entire careers legitimizing the very system, the very institution that the black radical tradition was supposedly created to be at an opposition with. It's gonna be the very same, these same people. You're gonna be hearing Kamala Harris talking about a black radical tradition.
Scary. And my thing too is just kind of, it's just really, and this is also just such a watering down, and this is another thing, like, I'm obviously, as you know, guys who know me, you know my background, I'm very Malcolm X inspired, very Malcolm X coded in a lot of the things I'm into, but also the thing is, like, the way they watered down Dr. King is just such a fucking shame, because in those last few years of his life, he became anti-war. He became a critique of capitalism. He became a critique of, he started critiquing because he realized reform just wasn't it. And that shit cost him his life. And now they have, you know, like his son, not a shot against Martin King Jr., Martin King III. Like, you know, I don't know what it's like to grow up and have, you know, your father be assassinated by the state. That is pretty bad. But my thing though is, like, you look at Al Sharpton and you look at these different people, and it's like, black people need to get over the Democratic and Republican. Like, we don't need to be doing the two-party system is ass, guys. The two-party system is useless. It's just useless.
What I think it was Jackie Luqman that said they're two cheeks of the same ass? Or
pretty much.
But more information on the march. The march comes months after the Supreme Court ruling that undermined the Voting Rights Act of 1965, a ruling that Sharpton described as a bullet in the heart of the voting rights movement. The upcoming gathering, called the March on Washington 2026, Defend the Vote, will take place on August 28th, marking the 63rd anniversary of Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech during the 63 March on Washington. Defending the vote means defending the foundation of our democracy, Martin Luther King III said in the statement about the new march. 63 years after my father stood at the Lincoln Memorial, we are called to march again, not only in remembrance, but in action. And so, like you said, to exist knowing that your parent was assassinated by the state, your grandparents, people forget that. His mother was assassinated.
Right.
Dr. King's mother assassinated.
Yeah, she was stabbed in church.
Your father was assassinated. Right, and she also was assassinated too. So that does something. We don't talk about how that does something to some people's psyche, to have as much respect to the King family, as possible. That does something to your psyche, that right. You have a family member, and to anybody who has a family member who's organized and who's been actively imprisoned or assassinated or placed into exile for their organization, like that, what that does to you as a child, of just like, it's like, I should fight for what I should fight the good cause. I should be inspired by that. But then and it's also just the knowing, you know, personally what can happen when you join this fight. So I applaud the King family for continuing this fight that their father and that their mother, and that many of the mother, because the mother also was an organizer too, and many of their comrades have started at the exact same time. Put that critical thinking hat on. We have to let go of this idea of the U.S. being our democracy, and this is our democracy, our country. It never was, never has been, never will be. Until we detach ourselves from this idea that the United States is a necessity, that it has to exist, that it's a necessary evil, we're going to be doing these same marches. And I'm not even discouraging revolutionaries to go to this march. You know, in all honesty, we should be seeing revolutionaries at these marches. So if you are with the Black Alliance
Right.
for Peace, the APSP and the Uhuru movement, if you're with MXGM, PACA, if you're with
We gotta go.
the community movement builders or any of these orgs, and you're coming to DC, you should be at these marches. You should be talking to the progressive and the Negro liberals and the establishment Democrats.
We might have to go
the
down there
people.
and report.
Hey man, hey, if we need to interview a few folks, let us know. Like, get your propaganda ready for this day. Like, you already know. Like, if you're worried about like, well, there's gonna be police there. There's obviously going to be pigs there. Like, you seeing who's at this march, you expect the pigs. It's gonna be a parade. It's gonna be a parade to the Lincoln Memorial. We should expect that, but we shouldn't just criticize these attempts to try to reinvigorate to revive a false narrative of the 1960s. We shouldn't just criticize. We should use these as an opportunity to organize. Like, we have the propaganda, we have the analysis, we have the nuance. Now let's go there. Let's introduce these people to some stronger analyses of what's going on and bring them into our movement. There's going to be media folks. There's going to be students. This is going to be around the time school's coming back, y'all. School's going to be coming back. These students are going to be coming to college and high school. They're going to be be in this march. Also, wear your mask. Keep an eye on surveillance. They're definitely going to be surveilling the fuck out of you at these marches. But like, take this. This is a perfect opportunity. This is perfect. This is perfect to remind folks, because they're probably more than likely are not going to let any revolutionary speak.
I was about to say
they might have
there's a reason they're not asking those people.
Right. They're not going to ask folks from BAT to speak at the march. They're not going to ask folks from the party and from the Uhuru to speak at the march.
Yeah, there's a reason they're not asking Omala or John or any of these people who are affiliated with like a real revolutionary org, because we know they tell it like it is.
Right. They're going to, like, and even just kind of symbolically speaking, understanding it being at the Lincoln Memorial too, the kind of like symbolism behind talking about freedom and having this white man stare you down and he's in the seat just he entertained in his chair. He's like the so-called abolitionist Abe.
And then my thing is, with Reverend Al Sharpton and his National Action Network, you know,
literally NAACP.
It's just for some reason, it's like, I think Black misleadership class, people, like, these are safe. Look at all these organizations: the National Action Network, the NAACP, the National Council of Negro Women, which my mother was once a part of years ago, the American Federation for Teachers, Unidos US, Phi Beta Sigma, because you know the D9 is always repping Black misleadership.
The Congressional Black Caucus,
right?
Yeah.
Like, are any of those organizations even remotely radical?
No, the NAACP hasn't had a revolutionary heartbeat to it since W.B. Du Bois left.
And that's a long time ago.
And that took time. Such a long time ago. That was if you want to make it even closer, Williams left. Was kicked out of the NAACP.
Oh my God, not Robert.
Shoot, y'all saw him on the intro. So.
Jeez. And all of this is a ploy just to support Democrats, if I'm being honest.
Exactly. They're trying to prep you for the next establishment Democratic candidate, or at best an AOC. AOC is gonna run for president, and then AOC is gonna bomb a bunch of people if she gets presidency. We're gonna be seeing.
But she's gonna do it in a grandpa's way.
Yes. Gonna gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. Women of color. See, the bombs are gonna be okay because it's. Why'd you do that? Gonna be like a Skylar sister. Work. You know what I'm saying? But no, it's gonna be okay because you got a woman of color dropping the bombs now. It's always okay. Slavery's always okay when it's a woman of color with the whip in hand.
Yep.
Because the roles are reversed, obviously. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're still a slave. But would you rather have Donald Trump have the whip in hand or AOC? That's the kind of logic they're trying to throw at you. With the midterm elections approaching, thank you for highlighting that. And Republicans pushing to enact additional voting restrictions. The upcoming March on Washington comes as debates over voting rights continue nationwide. And it's obviously there to honor the impact of the 1963 events. Which, again, as Malcolm explained, was defanged from its original intent and purpose.
And then I remember reading the autobiography of Malcolm X, and he talked about he went down just to casually observe, and he essentially, he didn't say it like that. He was like, "Oh my God, this is a shit show!" Like,
he was saying something along the lines of like they're having picnics. It's like you're having picnics during a march. I think you said something along those lines. They were doing picnics. They were having little songs and stuff like that. Had your "We Shall Overcome." He's like, in what world have we ever liberated ourselves from a we shall?
We haven't overcome anything.
We haven't. We thought we've overcome stuff. Nah, they just upgraded the shit. Yeah. But yeah, we've got our little serious stuff. We like just because we talking some serious stuff, that don't mean we ain't got nothing fun for you. We actually got a couple of fun stories and stuff. Some pop culture, if you will.
Yeah.
Just
the entire I know some of y'all heard about the Jay-Z Jay-Z had 3 concerts over the weekend, and I wanted to play y'all that freestyle he dropped because I wanted, if you're watching in the chat, I wanted your opinions on it. But also it's just like, how long, like, black people need to let Jay-Z and Beyonce go. And you can be as talented as you want, but we need to let these motherfuckers go.
They're not even the best black capitalists.
Because these people, like, I don't trust no bill to let them go.
I don't trust
black capitalists, but look at this.
Millionaires.
Target, no exclusive. They only doing what Apple and Walmart did. You shopping at Amazon or you boycott? You posting on Instagram? That's Meta, boy. Stop it. Y'all know Google owns YouTube. You picking and choosing and politicking as usual.
Shut the fuck up.
They digging deep for narratives. It's embarrassing. They run out of characters, had to bring back up Cap again. A buddy took a check. I ain't even mad at him. But along with that check, got to sign a non-disparagement. I'm the one they can't control. Y'all better be glad as him. Yeah. I'm the one they can't control. You better be glad as him. $500 million back in the community. That's just good math for him. I don't listen to Twitter activists. They type and I laugh at them. There's really no comparison. Y'all check my stats again. I'm bringing folks home to their family. Laws get passed because him. You can like it or not. We don't do no ass kissing. Ex-drug dealer. You might not like the packaging, but my presence is the president. My gift is rapping. Oh shit. Let's get on some Brooklyn shit.
The one thing I want to say, if they can't control you, Sean Carter, say free Palestine. If they can't control you, say free Palestine. Say free Sudan. Say free Congo. If these Zionists do not control you, like similar to DJ Khaled, can you say free Palestine just once? Sudan, Congo, any of these places? Can you stop having your wife make shit in sweatshops? And these fucking sweatshops where people are sitting there on a machine for like 40 hours a day and they get like a little bit of pay.
You know what's the greatest? You know what the greatest irony of like a lot of the black billionaires and the black capitalists I've been seeing though? It's just that like I feel like black capitalists I feel like are the only capitalists that have that despite being the head of the plantation, they still have to shuck and jive. My nigga, you own the plantation. Why are you if nobody control you, why are you still shucking and jiving? With a billion, you a billion dollar tap dancer. That's what the fuck you is right now. He talk about I ain't do no ass kissing. That Epstein email says otherwise.
And it's like, what did you ever heard that Most Def verse? He was like, yo, who run this rap shit? A tall Israeli run this rap shit. Like, and he's still not wrong. Man,
I low key want you to play it again because I really want to just dissect these bars.
You know what?
Can you play it again?
I'll play
it again. Play it again.
Okay, I'll play it one more time.
Yeah, play it one more time, just in case for those of y'all, and if those of you who may have just joined in, welcome to the Reasoning. Like follow us on social media, on Twitter, our Instagram, our YouTube. Donate, put some money into the Cash App. We're still trying to hit 444. You know what I'm saying? Recommend this to your friends. Recommend Iansá to your comrades. If you know somebody that want to submit something, contact us, and we will definitely disseminate their work. But yeah, let's play that again. Play that again.
This shit is crazy. All right.
I want to hear this. See now I want to take note of this.
I'm talking. Don't miss that target. No exclusive. They only doing what Apple and Walmart did. You shopping at Amazon or you boycotting? You posting on Instagram? That's Meta, boy. Stop it. Y'all know Google owns YouTube. You picking and choosing the politicking as usual. They digging deep for narratives. It's embarrassing. They run out of characters, had to bring back up Cap again. A buddy took a check. I ain't even mad at him. But along with that check, got a sign of non-disparagement. I'm the one they can't control. Y'all better be glad as him. Yeah. I'm the one they can't control. You better be glad as him. $500 million back in the community. That's just good math for him. I don't listen to Twitter activists. They type and I laugh at them. There's really no comparison. Y'all check my stats again. I'm bringing folks home to their family. Laws get passed with him. You can like it or not. We don't do no ass kissing. Ex-drug dealer, you might not like the packaging, but my presence is the president. My gift is rapping. Oh shit! Let's get on some Brooklyn shit.
And then my thing is, if you're gonna get on some Brooklyn shit, how about you stop the gentrification in Brooklyn?
Thank you. Oh,
bro, deed theft in Brooklyn right now is at an all-time high. A black family in Brooklyn can barely keep their house without, mind you, some of these people are white Israelis buying up the whole block, making their rent unaffordable, or they're taking the deed on the house. And, shout out to Carmela Carrington, because she was in Rikers for opposing them trying to take the house that her father has essentially given to her. And she spent several weeks in Rikers Island. And this shit is so crazy. You want to talk about we on some Brooklyn shit, bro. Are the people in the Marcy House projects doing any better because of Jay-Z?
I was gonna say, I remember a few years back he tried to do that Bitcoin shit. He tried to get the black youth on the Bitcoin. That lasted like less than a year. I actually took note. I was typing some key points what he was saying. That laugh he did, I'm like, that's a laugh of somebody like, this. I'm about to get him this. They think they know. The whole premise of the freestyle It's literally having your relative talk about, oh, you hate capitalism, but you got an iPhone.
You ever seen the
that was
meme
what the
where,
freestyle was.
you ever
Go
seen
ahead.
the meme where they're like, we should improve society, yet you participate in society. I am very smart. He did the meme. He literally just did the meme.
That's
Like,
what he did. I put a thing. Yeah, go ahead.
it's just like, bro, like, yes, we are. Here's the thing, too. Like, don't be fucking dense. We need these two. You act like, even in the first world, like, if I had the choice of not having to use technology that is literally soaking in blood, I would actively. But also, the things are set up so you can't do shit if you don't have a cell phone. You can't do shit if you don't use Google. You can't follow the news. We don't have, like, even with alternative resources, the alternative resources, like, I wish there was a version of Iansá that didn't have to use all of this technology. But it's like, what else are we supposed to do? Like, we don't have things set up so I can just ignore Google, ignore Facebook, ignore all these different things. Like, everything, whether I want it to be or don't want it to be, is connected to some kind of cloud or an algorithm, because, like, we don't have, like, the power to, like, and me and Donovan have talked about this. We wish there were alternative means of communication that weren't owned by these fucking billionaires, but right now, before, we don't have that, so we're gonna have to make do with what the hell we have.
Like those who own the means of production also owns the means of information production for dissemination and how we consume information. Like, it's why it's so difficult for like something like an Iansá or any of these independent outlets to exist. Scalawag dealing with the shit that they've been dealing with this year too is a result of that. Like, AI being normalized to where it's becoming even increasingly more difficult to differentiate AI from like actual human interactions. There's more than likely someone in the world out there who might watch this stream, who might watch this podcast and be like, those are real people. They're AI, because it's getting that fucking hard to tell the difference. Like, but no, I took notes. I wanted to go back to the notes I put on the freestyle. He talked about Target, which apparently we're supposed to be boycotting for like the upteenth time. But then he did the Reasonable Doubt thing, the white out of the album and shit on Target. Shopping at Amazon, politicking. He bringing up Cap again, which like nowadays doesn't hold as much of the same weight, considering that he now has the Nike deals.
Right.
So it doesn't hit, which honestly, it's about to be 10 years. Isn't it
right, it is 10 years.
It's 10 years. It's gonna be 10 years since the. And look where we are right now. Look where we at. 10 years. Motherfuckers are still scarred about that. I think that's crazy. They're still scarred about this man putting a knee. But I feel like we remember Kaepernick. We remember the image of the knee more so than the implications of it. But that's another thing. Can't control hope. We already talked about that. $500 million back to the community. To who in the community? Because clearly
school he supposedly invested in. I heard like that he had invested in, and this is like a few years ago, some kind of charter school, and now they're saying the charter school or whatever, that shit is not doing good at all currently.
LeBron did something. I must say LeBron did like a charter school as well, and they've had similar issues. I'm not sure if it's closed down, but the same sort of thing of just like privatizing education. And then what happens when I'm gonna sneeze again. What happens when you privatizing education in a community that's predominantly working class, who can barely afford these sort of opportunities, and you're surprised that like enrollment's dropping? You've made it inaccessible for the majority of people there. It said, check my stats. The stats of what? The failed Bitcoin.
Your stats suck.
You're right. Nas beat you. That's a stat. Nas.
First of all, exactly. He said, yo.
Not to say Nas is a perfect person either.
He said, but how many big rhymes gonna come out your fat lips?
Careful now. They're gonna say you a futurist.
No, it's like, because I remember every time I got a problem with someone, I listen to Ether for my mental health. He said, fuck with your soul like Ether. Teach you to know it. Godson across the belly. Y'all know y'all lost already. Brace yourself for the main event. Y'all impatiently waiting like it's an AIDS test. What's the results? Not positive. And shit still is not positive, Jigga. Not positive.
Now listen. That's one of the...
No, but literally. But actually, you know what? The privatization of media, that's a good segue into the thing you were going to talk about. Let me put it up.
Man. Law, one last thing I was going to say. He talked about laws getting passed. These laws suck. These laws suck, my nigga. He's like,
like, what law, bro?
Oh, so you the reason why they getting gentrified. Okay. Yeah, I remember that too. Shoot. I'll keep that in mind. It's like, oh, the law's getting passed because of me. And so you're why the black community can't afford to go to live in Brooklyn. You're the reason why there's the hyper surveillance in the black parts of New York City. You're the reason why they're trying to whitewash Harlem and all these historically black areas and shit.
Right.
So it's you. Okay, you a target. You've heard of Luigi. Have you heard of Lorenz?
I was going to say, did you send the article about Sony?
I did. I think I texted it to you. I don't know if I got sent. Oh my god.
Okay. PlayStation. Okay, let me see. I'm going to pull it up.
Oh my god. So, I'm also guilty. I'm guilty of this too. Full admittance too, because when the PS5 first came out, one of my best friends had a PS5, but they had the digital version. I had never seen that before. So and it was also cheaper too. It was I think maybe a few $100s cheaper than the physical, the one with the physical copies of the games and stuff like that. So I'm like, oh yeah, and I got a good paycheck from a camp I worked at. I'm like, oh, let me buy this PlayStation 5. You know what I'm saying? Let me spend this check, get this game in. I was excited when the game came in too. So let me get the check. You know what I'm saying? I bought the digital console. I still have it behind me. I game still. Like I'll play like some Black Ops Zombies, some Black Myth Wukong, Spider-Man, some of the like hack and slash games like Dynasty Warriors, Samurai Warriors, stuff like that. That's a childhood staple of mine.
I don't know none of those. But yes.
one of these days we gonna have an Iansá gaming stream. We gonna have folks from the magazine play a game or two. But give me the heads up once the article's covered it or the article's put up. But like.
You don't see it?
I did not at the moment. I'm like exiting in and out, and I'm not seeing it on my screen right now. But I can also just pull it up and read it because even if I exit it, I'm still gonna be able to read the article.
I was gonna say it's up there. It's up right now.
Right.
Unless you want to reload, right. But I have it on the. I'm looking at the stream on a different device. It is up.
Oh, here it is. It popped up. But like to finish the story, I didn't know that that was good at the time. This was like 2022. I did not know that this was going to be like the lead to the result. But for those who are unfamiliar and those of you who game, PlayStation is saying it's going to stop making physical games as of 2028. So they're going to stop selling physical games. You're going to literally have to just download the games online. Are they preventing you from accessing the shit?
No, I see it. I had to X something out. Okay.
But what was I gonna say? So, and this isn't even exclusive to Sony. The Nintendo Switch 2 has also done something similar, where you're basically loaned the games. You are loaning games now. And this is said to like prevent folks from hacking and modding the games and stuff like that, because you can literally, if you get caught against cheating with the game, you can just be revoked. They can just revoke ownership of the game. So, and mind you, just like what they do with iPhones, PlayStation and Xbox, they actively like cut off like live, like online features for these games, for their games and stuff. And this is to encourage you to buy the new stuff. So, and mind you, the older models in the games too, only physical. So when you buy the game, you actually own the game. You can play the game. You can play the game by yourself. You can play the game with your friends. I remember a time when gaming was extremely communal. Like, I remember playing the NBA Street games with my cousins and neighborhood kids, having tournaments. Like, you had to physically go over a friend's house to play games.
Right.
It was like an event. It was like a staple. Going over your cousin's house, your sibling's house. Maybe you gotta find shit. He a game. She, they a gamer, and you interested in. Y'all got a little PlayStation too. Y'all play a little Crash Bandicoot together before y'all Crash Bandicoot and I'm gonna stop. But
it's crazy because like physical media is such a physical media, like it's crazy because we were just talking about this before the stream started like an hour and a half ago. So, you know, I think we took, because it was so much physically, we took DVDs, CDs. I mean, I'm only 25, so I don't remember Laserdisc. For some of y'all that might be a little bit older than us. VHS tapes.
VHSs?
No, VHSs, I'm saying Laserdisc is old. VHS tapes, I grew up in the house.
Okay.
Yeah, but like those, we took that for granted because it felt like, oh, I gotta carry all this stuff. However, they're trying to make it so you're essentially constantly renting shit because they don't want you to own anything. And this is so crazy. Like, and it's like, if you don't own anything, even like, I remember, Donovan, you probably heard the story. There was a black lady back in the day, and she had recorded a bunch of the news and different things all on tape.
Yes.
Because her fear was that they were going to try to change a bunch of shit, and she wasn't going to have any references to be like, no, this is what happened. That's what happened. And in the age of misinformation, we are actively seeing what happens when physical media is like non-existent, and it's actually
they're doing
scary.
that with retro shows right now. We talked about this with A Different World. Like, they literally, like, the Different World, for context, if you watch A Different World on Netflix, they've used AI to add this new shade to try to modernize.
It looks bad.
It's weird. Like, I noticed that, and I would watch the older clips on YouTube of like the show when it was on air, and it's like, wait, I'm like, why does this look so odd? Like, you look at, like, it's something as simple as, like, the sign that says Hillman College. It will just have, like, it will be either blank or it'll have just some random shit on the sign. But that's the things that she was concerned about. And leave it be the black
right.
Say the thing once again. But like, she was concerned because if we don't own the media that we consume, that means we are not palpable. Palpable is the wrong word. We are vulnerable. Susceptible to whomever owns the media. This is why, again, they want to make it extremely difficult for alternative media outlets to exist because they are providing you with a source of media. There's a reason why you might see but you'll be more than likely find a one ballot after another instead of a Bush Mama. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just saw Bush Mama last weekend. Amazing film. I highly recommend it. Shout out to the LA Rebellion. Shout out to Sankofa, the owner of Sankofa. I don't want to get, I'm like Haile. I think his name's Haile. I don't want to get his name wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, he was a part of that film movement. I saw the screening of it in the bookstore. Beautiful film. I know he felt odd about the third cinema comparison, but I personally, it's the domestic colony. So I'm like, anything the domestic colony makes by and for domestic colony and for liberation, it's gonna be its own uniform source for cinema. But I say that to say that, like, all of our communication channels are private. If
that's
not
good.
Federal, it's not federally owned. Like, you can't even have an interpersonal conversation without being surveilled, whether it's the camera on the corner of the street or your phone, because they surveil you from your phone. You can't have a phone call without being surveilled. You can't go on a date without being surveilled. You probably can't make a baby without being surveilled. You trying to make a junior, you trying to make a senior, you trying to make a child, and you got fucking Alexa in the kitchen. You trying to say, Alexa, play How Does It Feel? Government all you got your local CIA agent being like, how does it feel to be watched? To be listened to. Man. I'm always there. Watching.
The shit is so scary because and I'm talking about, like, I mean, a lot of us who organize, we use Signal, Telegram, certain shit like that, but they're like, oh, the messages are encrypted. I mean, maybe they are to some extent, but I don't necessarily believe that they're so encrypted that, like, someone, if they really wanted to, can't read your shit. Like, I'm very sure, because you got to think about all of the technology that, we know the CIA and FBI, they have crazy technology, but we don't even know the fullest extent of how far the technology goes, because they're not going to make that information available to the public.
And by the time they do, it'll be decades after the facts. That or
AI probably existed for decades.
That or what was I gonna say? Or you have what happened during like the Black Power movement, where you had these like underground activists storm a headquarters and steal the documents. Like it took underground revolutionaries to raid the FBI headquarters and steal documents for COINTELPRO to be leaked. And even then, they were initially trying to deny it. And then when they couldn't, they were like, "Oh, we stepped out of line. We're not doing this anymore." Meanwhile, they actively employed the same tactics on rappers. They employed the same tactics on Mumia. They employed the same tactics on Tupac his entire life. Meaning they're more than likely doing it onto current activists. There are still to this day folks from Ferguson who are either missing, jailed, or worse, or dead.
Right.
There's still folks from Ferguson whose stories we don't even know about. They couldn't have another Ferguson. There's just, again, zines. You can't even sell zines now without you getting a potential 30-year sentence.
Right.
You were a political motherfucker. You can't even be at the site of the protest without being arrested. You could just so happen just to see the protest. And if the pigs see you, you're gonna be chained. You're gonna be locked up. But no, it's part of why, like, again, renting games, streaming, films and television, streaming music, PDFs, and mind you, I read, I'll definitely read like a PDF of a book if I can't actively like buy the text. I mean, it's an you can make the argument. I can understand the argument of like, well, PDFs make these books accessible because you can just download the text and you can be able to read it. Yeah, not denying that. I will counter it by saying that if we don't own the physical like literature, we don't own the physical pieces of media, who's to say that they can't just strip away chapters, change wording? Who's to say that they can't just like I remember doing book club for Black Awakening in Capitalist America, and they were parts of the online PDF that apparently weren't in the actual text of the book, the physical copy that my friend had. Who's to say they can't do that with all different kinds of books? Like they already do it with textbooks. Who's to say they ain't gonna do it with your PDF? Who's to say they can't track you based off of the books you download? You want to download Until We're All Free. You want to download Stokely's Kwame Speaks. George, you want to download Soledad, brother. Okay, we gonna keep our eye on you now. You reading this book? These are the books you reading now? Like, okay, we're gonna surveil you now. We're gonna make sure we have an eye on you at all times. Like and I remember this. I'll and then it'll get to your turn. And I know I'm going on a tangent. I've been going on tangents all day. But I remember the conversations had in classes about the importance of the consumer and the role the
Right.
consumer plays in the continuation of pop culture and the importance that you have as a consumer. But I just can't help but think that our importance is sustaining the pop culture ecosystem, is that we willingly help maintain the status quo. At this point, it's going to take more than just boycotts of Sony. And you can boycott Sony. I definitely encourage to boycott Sony or any digital release of stuff, to like go back to getting physical media and enjoying physical media. But it's going to take more than it's more than just different sectors of boycotts against these different pop culture. Like, they're already talking about boycotting the Odyssey because they filmed in the Sahara Desert.
Wow. Oh wait, the occupied Western Sahara?
Yeah, they filmed it there apparently.
Oh no, I didn't even know that. That's so crazy. Like, bro.
That's what I heard.
First of all-
That's what's percolating right now. That's what's percolating. I've just been learning I learned it last night that they're calling for boycott it there too. But like, again, like, boycotting is a strategy. It's a strategy, but it's gonna take more than boycott to dismantle this pop culture ecosystem, which I would argue is our greatest obstacle towards liberation. It is the psychological warfare employed by the U.S. government, by Hollywood and the media. The fact that so much of the media we consume is owned by the same father and son combo.
That's
Fucking
not
insane.
great.
That's not good. And we talked about that in the past stream. Why does a father and a son, like, shit, even Boots Riley's recent film?
Yeah, he was
I
working
Love
with
Boosters. He's working with Ellison to get the film out.
Man. But yeah, and I mean, I'm not much of a gamer, but like, the idea of not being able to own any kind of physical media is just irritating to me, because it's just like, in the event that, something does happen where you're unable to, it's like this thing where they are actively trying to, and this is the thing I like, for y'all who are tuned in to like places like Iansá, places like Black Power Media, Black Liberation Media, Reuters. Well, I mean, Reuters is kind of there, but all these, but it's like the more you look into things, they're literally trying to price us out of being able to afford anything. And also, even with and I'm gonna be honest, guys, I used to have a paid version of Restream that me and Doniven would use, and then even that, because of financial stuff, I had to downsize it. Or in like, even running this whole platform, it has been like a crazy amount of subscriptions. So like, when I started going through financial issues, I had to downsize the subscriptions. And there have been times where I'm like, well, what am I going to do if I can't like actively keep up the magazine? We've had trouble fundraising things. Like, this is not an easy platform. Like, back in the day, maybe a lot of the other things that you now actively pay for, they would otherwise be free. And thankfully, Restream, there's a free version of it. That's what we're on right now. But, we're getting to the point where you can't really use anything without some kind of a down payment. And that is so only elites can like have programs, and only elites can like run media companies and run businesses and things like that. Because the moment, someone like me or Doniven or anyone else like has the access to do stuff, we're obviously going to use it to disseminate information that they don't want you to know. So like, they're actively trying to price people out, and it almost feels like, because a lot of organizers are working class, it's like that shit is a form of counterinsurgency. And I've talked to Doniven about this in private, because I run somewhere like Iansá, and because I'm a member of the Uhuru movement, I thought to myself, maybe on the list of, in the federal government, if you're watching this, hi, sometimes it's like, they don't have to kill me, but it's like, okay, keep this fucking terrorist bitch from being able to afford anything, or keep her from being able to afford a job where she could pay off like things with the magazine. Sometimes I think we're so used to counterinsurgency in terms of people getting arrested, people, being, assassinated. Sometimes we forget, like, counterinsurgency sometimes is now you don't have the funds to be able to fund anything. So that's why, like, whether it's different economic development or mutual aid networks, what have you, that's important. That's why it's so important to tap into those things, because it's like they're trying to price you out of being able to be a revolutionary, essentially, because even the Black Panther Party needed money, the Black Liberation Army needed money, all these different organizations, they needed money. That's why it's so important that they were able to learn how to fuel anything, because, like, if you can't afford, like, food in your stomach, you can't organize.
I mean, you can't. It'll be extremely difficult to run on an empty stomach. No,
but this is just crazy. And then they're trying to being able to price you out of being able to even have basic enjoyment. Like, if you want to play a video
basic leisure. You can't even enjoy leisure without having to pay a subscription. Like, I'm learning about how Crunchyroll's also like Crunchyroll, because I watch anime. I stopped watching using Crunchyroll because of the whole Israeli thing that they use for their
They use it. Why is everyone using Israeli stuff? Damn. Crunchyroll too. Niggas can't have shit.
Yeah, even the anime. It used to. Hey, you know what? Hey, real anime fans, we sell the 7 series. Had a straw hat. I don't have my straw hat on. Damn it! I couldn't put it on. I mean, like, we sell the 7 series in this motherfucker. But yeah, but like, what was I gonna say? But like, even like them, like deleting like certain IPs, like increasing. Like, I learned recently last night. I learned around the same time I learned about this, or I learned about this article for a minute. But like how they're increasing the price for a Crunchyroll subscription. Like, you can't even access the store. Like, you can't even access the score without like the maximum premium subscription, which is like maybe around $15 or something, like 15, maybe 20, or approaching $20 and stuff like that too. Like the fact that and they do, and not to say that like the Frankfurt School doesn't deserve criticism. They do deserve criticism. Their analysis relies heavily on the criticism without any of the solution building. But even then, they did point out, I will give them props for pointing out the fact that, like, yeah, with the culture industry, you're so burnt out after work, all you want to do is to just kick back and just like consume. Just allow yourself to consume. It takes effort to think critically about the media that you're consuming, especially if you're tired. Like, I had to train myself to be somewhat critical of all the things that I watch, because you never know what ideological like perspectives you're just subconsciously consuming when you're just tired. Like, that's why Hollywood films rely so heavily on just emotional fulfillment and excitement, because they expect you to come into the theater and to just forget the outside world. Even if they briefly mention, like with a Superman, well, they'll briefly allude to like Gaza, but the director will like say that like, oh, it's not about Gaza or Palestine. Or what I heard about with Supergirl, with like the whole like race of purple people being genocided, and they're gonna say that like, oh, this looks like apartheid, and you'll have directors and stuff talking about, oh, this isn't about apartheid, this is just unique to this and stuff like that. They do that weird shit. You'll have one bout after another win film of the year at like the Oscars, and have a journalist ask them about like, hey, with the current hold on a sec. Excuse me. I am sneezing like a whoever is talking shit about me, I'm gonna need you to take a break. but like, you can have people talk about You can have a journalist come up and be like, "Hey, with the current political climate here and internationally with the film, and try to make connection to the film and stuff like that and its themes." And you'll have a director be like, "Oh no, it's not about that. I think you're thinking a little too deeply into it. This is I think you're trying to place an agenda on the film or something like that." Because because at the end of the day, the 99.99% of the media we consume is it's about consumption. If it's made in the Hollywood ecosystem, it is connected to empire immediately. The federal government, the FBI, the CIA literally look at scripts. They will look at your scripts. There is a military entertainment complex for a reason. It is psychological warfare. Operation Paperclip happened for a reason, because the Nazis were so fucking good at disseminating propaganda that they wanted to learn from the Nazis, not just from the scholars they had in the United States. They need to have the original recipe. They invite Nazis over to teach them different tactics in psychological warfare, so they can employ it on the communists and the black nationalists and the liberators and the autonomists. And all of these people, whether it's the psychological warfare is being waged in Hollywood, whether it's in television, in film, in music, in gaming, in academia, as Dr. Rock, shout out to Dr. Rock Hills, Who Paid the Pipers of Western Marxism, reading that book right now.
I gotta read that.
I highly recommend you read. It's such a good book. But literally, shout out to she just released the book. She was just on Saturdays with Renee. She did the psychiatry book. I can't think of her name right now. Like Lena, or is it Lena or Sheena or something like that?
You're probably better at remembering these names than I am.
Which I'm surprised, considering knowing myself, I will forget names in like the blink of an eye. So the fact that I even know these people, but I'll pull up her name in a little bit. But her book, she talks about psychological intrusions. Shout out to her, but this is different kinds of psychological warfare from different angles. It's so that's literally becoming my new hyperfixation. It's just understanding psychological warfare and how it's been weaponized and legitimized. How we as Black people not only have consumed it, but have legitimized it by focusing on this reduced identity politics, by focusing identity politics that don't address material conditions to many of the problems that we're actively critiquing or we're trying to fight off against, by thinking that if we just have enough Black people in these high enough places, that we have the fact that we have a Black billionaire who owns Lionsgate, that's enough for Black progress. Meanwhile, he's engaged in the same psychological warfare employed against him. We're talking about the same studio that allows Tyler Perry movies to come out. Lionsgate. You and me we got a Black man who own a media conglomerate. Nigga, they got Tyler Perry films come out of Lionsgate. You think that's progress?
That's not progress. If I have to watch you put on the Medea suit one more time, I'ma have a seizure.
Please don't have a seizure. We need this magazine to keep going.
I know, but it's just I'm so bro, it's just because I remember when they were talking about Tyler Perry Studios. Mind you, I used to some of the movies that he made in the late 90s, early 2000s were actually kind of decent, but The Family That Prays and some of them. But even when he got his own studio and people were bragging on it, it was but do you see the kind of thing? Do you see the kind of movies that Tyler Perry releases? Even with the 6 AAA, mind you, the 6 AAA. If you want to talk about the total storyline and the movie, I can admit that this is a good movie, but it's also pushing Black women to be the face of empire.
Oh, you're talking about the military movie with Kerry Washington.
Kerry Washington, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that needs to be talked about.
We need to unpack that in another episode at some point, because that was crazy. Because if you, from the untrained eye, you're almost sympathetic to the cause.
Right, because it's black women leading the cause. Laura Sheehy, that's her name. Shout out to Laura Sheehy in her new book. Like every interview I've listened to her with is fascinating. How she dives into psychological warfare. That's a guest. I would love to have them as a guest. But there was the shout out to Scalawag. They talked about it as well of like how black women are they're the new strategy by like the establishment Democratic Party and the establishment parties and status quo ecosystem and so on and so forth is to have black women be the face of the status quo. Because if we allow the most oppressed group, the most specialized oppression, as Anwo would say, shout out to Anwo, the most specialized oppressed group, i.e. black women, to take control of the status quo entities, whether it be Democratic Party positions, whether it be forms of leadership in the military, which, by the way, women are more likely to be killed in the military by folks within the U.S. military than the people that are actually fighting against. Intercept talked about that. You can read from the Intercept. If you have black women as presidents as a president potentially, we were talking. That was the big combo a couple of years ago.
Right.
Black women as head of universities. Black women as head of police departments. Black women as bourgeois professors. Black women in these high spaces. Not to disregard the necessity of a black woman's lens. This is the most important lens you could have in any issue, and so on and so forth. But we have to understand, as Dr. CBS says, class is the most neglected. She's to paraphrase what she said. Class is the most neglected identity within intersectionality. It's easy. It's where the reason why it's so easy for folks to talk about race and gender, or race and sexuality, or disability and gender, and so on and so forth, but completely remove class from it, or make it a footnote, just a quick little mention, because it's able to dismiss it's able to put a cover over what exactly is the role of these black women in these high positions.
Right.
And I know I can't go as in depth with it as a black man, and I completely understand that is like many of the intricacies of it are more for someone like Maryam, or like some of the comrades in BAP, like a Jackie Lukman, like a doctor. CBS isn't in BAP, but she's definitely has a better lens to have than like I could ever provide. Because at the end of the day, I can only do so much as a black man, even if I was right, without that sort of like hierarchy,
first-hand experience.
The first-hand experience of it all.
What was the other thing you wanted to? I'm looking at this. You wanted to cover. Oh, did you want to still cover like the Iran situation with the Houthis?
Oh man, how much time do we have left?
I was gonna say.
We have about 8 minutes.
What do you mean we have about 8 minutes? Before you have to go to the next thing you're going to.
Yeah, so that's later on tonight. That's later on tonight though. So
okay, because the thing I had was at 3.
Go ahead. If you have one, bring it up, and then that can be the last. That can be the last one.
Okay, because I'm trying to. Oh, okay. Well, no, there's 2 more things. We had your Reuters thing, and then I had the thing about Valdosta State Prison.
We can end it at Valdosta. Then we can come back to Reuters, because we kind of touched. Oh, I can't even like. I was gonna say I can't even access the article anymore without a subscription, so we can go ahead and talk. We can go ahead and talk about.
Okay, let me
share
this screen. So they're saying right now, there's someone on Twitter put this video. This is the state of what's going on right now in Valdosta.
Yeah, man. Live from the V-Live. Fuck Valdosta State Prison. I'm gonna say it again. Fuck Valdosta State. Look what I'm walking in. You see this? Y'all see this shit? Bro, we ain't got no help, no nothing, bro. Look at this shit. I want y'all to see this. Look how the shoot. I'm in the hole now. I'm supposed to be in the hole. We ain't got no help. We ain't got no police. We ain't got nobody checking. Now watch the shoe float on water. Why the fuck is my shoe floating on the fucking water in the room, bro? Why the fuck? Why the fuck am I kicking water in the room, bro? Ain't no fucking help, bro. Hold on, this shit get worse. Hold on. Look at the door. Fuck these niggas. God, look at the door. Look at this shit. Look how dirty. It's filthy as fuck. Water everywhere. Water everywhere. Trash everywhere. Shit fucked up. Get me back on camera. Yeah. Free me. They locked me up and put me in a hole with no DR, no nothing. I'm sitting in a hole for nothing. I'm walking around in water when I was just working in the kitchen and I just got put in for a pre-release program. I ain't doing nothing. They don't give a fuck about us. Look at the place. I gotta, look at this shit. This shit is raggedy. I don't even have a light in the room. I gotta use my phone for the light. There is no light in the room. There's no light in the room. Y'all free me, man. I can't make this shit up, man. Cut that shit off.
Like, that's crazy. That's like actually crazy that they have people living in those conditions. Like, that's absolutely disgusting. Like, sincerely.
No, and the thing is too is that they're gonna find any excuse for the public to just see that this is acceptable. It's acceptable to them, to the public. The framing is acceptable because the criminals they got locked up, they got jailed, they were prosecuted, they did the deed, they need to do the time. Like the fact that many people who are in these situations, they haven't even been convicted. A lot of people haven't even been convicted, and they're going to be in these similar situations. Again, we're talking about a practice that was supposedly abolished. This was supposed to be abolished over a century ago. Supposedly abolished. Again, if you think that these are shitty, these prisons, modern day versions of plantations. So just assume that the plantations similar in quality, if not worse.
And then you think about it, and we have a lot of, political prisoners as well who are in these horrible conditions. Like right now, I know activists in Philly, they were really trying to bring it up for like Mumia. His health conditions are not the best. Mind you, he's an elderly man at this point. And like, it's a lot of different people. I remember I was talking to my friend, shout out Haki Kweli Shakur. He was talking about how with Shaka Shakur, who's locked up, I think, in Virginia, they had the whole prison on lockdown, but it was a thing where, like, for a while, there was no communication with anyone. Like, when they have the prison on lockdown, I guess, it's a thing, like, you can't talk to nobody for a while. So all the inmates are in a certain sector of the prison, they weren't allowed to talk to anyone. And essentially, like, that's crazy, because if something happens, how the hell are people supposed to know? So it's like, who knows? People could be living in conditions like that, and we would just not know.
And that's what they rely on. Again, the fact that all these communication channels are privatized, they rely on that inaccessibility, like to not be able to put your story out there without it being surveilled and being checked by guards or something like that. The fact that you can't read certain pieces of literature in prison because they're worried that you'll develop a fucking conscience, that you'll develop consciousness within the prison, and then you'll want to organize, then you want to rebel. I want to say there was a prison rebellion recently. I want to say within the past I think I don't fully remember the context, so it could have just been like a rewind. But like the fact that like they're preventing any sort of consciousness connection, because again, I don't know who said this, but they talked about how the United States is one of the only countries whose activism completely ignores political prisoners. We are to completely ignore them. Like, you will have some of the most progressive organizations won't even pay a lick of service, a crumb of lip service to political prisoners, and that's intentional. Despite so many of the most important activists and organizers in the history of this occupied settler colony being political prisoners themselves. Dr. King, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, Huey, Assata, Fred Hampton. Like, I can go on and on. Jalil Muttaqin, Mumia. Like, those in the indigenous liberation movement, the queer liberation movement.
Peltier.
Leonard Peltier. Yeah, I didn't want to get. I'm trying to think of the name. But like, all of these figures have all been political prisoners. They've all had to bite the bullets of being a political prisoner to fully, and it was in the prison. It was in the prison for many of them. George Jackson revolutionized himself in the prisons.
In prison.
Asada detailed the women's prisons, how she was transported to a men's prison, solitary. The fact that we're still doing solitary confinement in 2026. Like, the prison is the most honest representation of the oppression of so many groups of people. But because we have been conditioned through partly, but not fully, but more partly due to propaganda. This
motherfucker always got a book.
I'm always reading something. But like, partly due to the propaganda, we have legitimized the necessity of police, which has legitimized the necessity of prisons. In DC, it's about what, $300 per officer in DC, about $600 per National Guardsman. It is what? It costs about $1.5 million to have all these troops in DC. Now they want to have a fucking surge of National Guard and police and ICE. And then again, going back to the media conversation, they frame, because we don't own the media that we consume and that we produce, they can frame it to where it legitimizes the need for these prisons, because we gotta get the criminals away. Meanwhile, you will never alleviate the material conditions that historically have permitted crime to exist. People wouldn't have to turn to crime if they had food on the table, if they had health care, if their kids can go to school and have after school activities, if we had fucking leisure time, like
yeah.
Like, and it's all of the liberation movements, all the organizing that needs to be done cannot be done without a focus on political prisoners. There cannot be a complete liberation movement without something like a Jericho movement existing that's actively fighting for political prisoners here in the United States and abroad. So.
And I was gonna say before we end, do you have any announcements? I have one announcement, because I know like you might have some movement stuff going on. I have some movement stuff going on.
To my knowledge, not really. I know PACA has has one of their Pan-African health and wellness fronts that I've talked about in the past. That's happening. That's happening on the 26th.
Okay, so, let me see. I found it.
Yeah, the Pan-African Community Health and Wellness Fronts. Again, shout out to PACA, always doing the on the ground work. Part of the DC the BAP Citywide Alliance. Have a lot of comrades there, a lot of respect for the folks down there. That's mostly the only announcement I personally can think of at the moment. There's more than likely going to be an Assad Shakur political education session next Wednesday, because it's always the 2nd and 4th. If I'm correct, that means that there should be one next Wednesday. So come by at the Workers and Wellness Center to get some political education from 7 to 9 p.m. They'll more than likely post it on the social media as well. That's currently everything I can think of at the moment.
Okay.
Do you have any announcements? Well, other than the 444 campaign for us, but that's what.
Oh yeah, we still got to market that. The other thing I have is for any of you guys in the Atlanta area, which is not me or Donovan. The Uhuru 3, they're having the Hands Off Uhuru event next week in Atlanta, Georgia. They're doing verbal appeals at the Elbert P. Tuttle Court. I don't know where that is because I'm not in Atlanta. I mean, we actually do have 2 staff members in Atlanta.
Shout out to our staff in the ATL.
Carla and Anaya.
We will be. Iansá will be coming to Atlanta. Shout out to Tribe. Shout out to Think Peace Tribe. as
Everybody's in
well.
Atlanta.
It's everybody, all the niggas in Atlanta.
Yeah,
They got all
yeah.
different kinds of niggas in Atlanta too. They got
They call it
revolutionary
the black
niggas.
capital for a reason.
They call it Wakanda. They be calling it Wakanda now.
Killer Mike was like, "This is Wakanda." I was like, "Okay, Killer Mike."
Since we're on that anti-Wakanda camp, because how you gonna have the most advanced technology? How you gonna have all these black people, right? And it's a monarchy. It's the black bourgeoisie. You have all the tech, Wakanda. You could have communism right then and there, bro. Like,
right.
But yes, I did hear about that. I hear about that event from the Burning Spear, actually.
Yeah, they're trying to pack the courtroom because they're doing these verbal arguments for an appeal. So on Wednesday, next week at 9 a.m., they're gathering at 8:30 a.m. for it to start. And wherever the Elbert P. Tuttle Court of Appeals in Atlanta is, I don't know. But, they're having, debrief featuring law students, Chairman Amalia Shatella, and there's also going to be lunch provided for those who might want to attend. And I'll put this link in the chat in case anyone, oh my God, I don't know where the link went. For anyone that might want to attend, I'll put the link in the description. Because this is really important, and this is an issue if you're a free speech advocate. This is definitely something that you should seek to attend. And this is crazy because, like me and Doniven are talking about, they are trying to criminalize. Like, they were essentially saying we work for the Russian government, and it's crazy. I don't remember when the Russian government or Vladimir Putin has sponsored a black liberation organization. They're trying to talk about the party, first of all of the work that we're doing is a continuation of Marcus Garvey's work. So if you think Marcus Garvey was a Russian agent, shit, I guess we're Russian agents too. I always used to have a joke.
Well, they did.
Right.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
Shout out to Black Scare, Red Scare. They try to lump him as the part of the the USSR, or as a communist, even though he wasn't a communist to begin with.
Right, right. Which is crazy. My running joke is, before we close out, if I'm a Russian agent, where is my Russian agent money? I'd be broke.
Exactly.
If we had Russian agent money, nigga, I'd be Iansá would be balling right now. The print would have been finished. Doniven, Anaya, Carla, everyone would have been on a paid salary. But we are broke.
Right.
Man.
They would have we would have just all been at the headquarters at that point. If we got Russian, we just have Russian.
We'd have a
money,
building, and then this podcast would be in person.
Right.
So yeah,
we smoking the joint on the street. I'm playing.
Right. But on some real shit though, this
smoking
is
Cuban like I'm Fidel.
But yeah, if you're into with everything that Trump had that ordinance criminalizing essentially the work that BAP, APSP, AAPRP, any kind of potentially progressive organization that is really talking about stuff for the people, they've criminalized all of this shit, and they're essentially saying we're insurrectionists and terrorists and things like that. So this is why these things are strategically so important to attend, because it's who's to say that mind you, we're a small magazine. We have maybe somewhat of a small following. Who's not to say that all these other some of the people we Sabby Sabs, from Blackout, Revolutionary Blackout Network, JB Font, all these other people. Who's to say that they're not next and that we're not next? Even though we're not necessarily doing anything on a massive scale, they've criminalized a lot of people with a message. So this is definitely something you should look into and attend. And if you don't know about the case of the Uhuru 3, please look this up. They raided Chairman Amalia Shatella's home at 5 in the morning, 2 a.m. or 5 a.m. in the morning on July 29th, 2022. 80-something-year-old man. He's with his wife. And the thing is, they just so happened to be awake at that time because I believe he said his wife was doing the laundry. Something very some kind of normal thing, but they threw a flashbang grenade and they stormed in. They were like, this is the FBI. And that happened to Jesse Neville and his partner Amanda Carlozzi. And then that happened to Penny Hess. And it's just a really crazy thing that I think a lot about Fred Hampton. It's they at random time, he was asleep. First of all, they drugged him so he couldn't wake up and he was asleep. And that's another thing with these, when they're trying to do no-knock warrants or all of these different things. It's particularly, there's a reason they do shit at 2 in the morning, because like most people at 2 in the morning are asleep, unless you're like me and you're crazy, like you might be up all night, but you know,
or like me, where you're up till freaking sunrise.
Yeah, no, Donovan doesn't sleep. Like Donovan doesn't sleep. I'll be texting him like, damn, he's still fucking awake.
I'll be awake and energized too. My sleep schedule, like I had to like make a strict little like, okay, I can't go past like 1:30 today because of the podcast, and it paid off. I like woke up at like 9 or something like that. I got motivated, but go on. I'm interrupting what you're saying.
If you had no other announcements, I was gonna say, oh, okay, and guys, we would like some suggestions. You could email us, DM us. We are looking for some suggestions on what to do for Black August, because I can't believe it's almost August again. Like, that was so fast. The year's going by so fast.
Cause so much shit is happening. I'm like, again, I'm thinking about how fucking happy birthday to the Empire. I wake up like late that morning and fucking neo-Nazis are marching in DC. That's the first thing I see on my phone. I'm like, well, and I'm not even surprised. I'm just like, so much shit has happened. At this point, that's on script. Like, folks like neo-Nazis are marching in DC on America's birthday. I'm like, and y'all surprised?
Like, bro, like that's their celebration. What you mean?
Right, y'all surprised that they do that? Why aren't you taking their mask off? Why aren't y'all jumping them? Why aren't y'all hosing them down? They dirty. They probably musty. They need a shower. Why don't you hose them down?
Like, let's spray them with some fucking... It's crazy because back in the civil rights movement, people wouldn't even be doing anything, and they would spray their ass with water hoses, and they would go into the street. Like...
Right.
Yeah.
Dude.
But yeah.
But no, I don't have any more announcements.
Me either, but...
These 2 hours went by so fucking fast. I ain't gonna lie.
But if
I blinked and it said like an hour and 50. I'm like, fuck.
Right, no, I was looking at the thing. I was like, man, we've been broadcasting for a while, and then we like over time, we go off on tangents, and then we think of like other news to share. And I don't know when we're gonna be if we want to,
or an event pops up.
Right, or if we want to stream next week or the week after that. But one thing I did want to cover, I did want to do an episode specifically on like Nolan Wells and a few other events that have taken place, because a lot of stuff since the last time we went on the stream, a bunch of stuff has happened, and we only can cover it in a certain amount of time. But next time we get on, I think we're gonna have like probably a lot to talk about, if not more. So yeah.
Yes. So please stay tuned to the next announcement of the reasonings, y'all. Like, season 2 has just begun. We're back and we're better than ever. Despite whatever economic challenges come ahead, we about to give you a lively show. We're gonna have the commentary, the analysis, and the fun that go along with it. Like, you saw the serious stuff, and then you got a dose of like some pop culture news and stuff like that too. But like that's who this is. That's who this new generation is. We petty, we goofy as shit. But
even though people try to throw shade at us for being Gen Z, we're really fucking cool in Gen Z, unlike some of you washed ass motherfuckers. Let me not.
Exactly.
Let me not. It's just...
gonna make a nigga mad in the chat.
But you know what? And if anyone wants to be on the show, if anyone has anything they want to talk about, please email us at iansaasinterlude@gmail.com. DM us on the website.
Yeah.
Or on our socials, please. Like, we definitely would love to cover anything, especially if you have stories that are not getting covered by mainstream media. We would more than love to cover it.
Oh, of course.
But yeah, I'm gonna intro us out. And as you can see, we had to switch the intro. So this is the new season 2 intro. So for those of you who haven't seen it, I'm going to play it again. And peace.
Yes. Peace.
I'm the founder of 23 different radical leftist organizations.
And I will say here boldly now on television, no.
Intuitively, intuitively there is a fear of the spiritual, the cultural, and the political power.
They do not tell us that we should unite.
Including the Africans fighting racism and oppression, or Afro, if you will.
And this is why I named the book Negroes with Guns. Because they got guns the same as everybody else, they be treated the same way.
Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
Most black people in this country are workers in the working class. 97% of us are workers.
The Black Revolutionary Organization, or BRO. And also the Black Revolutionary Underground Heroes. Yeah, bruh.